Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
Hey, Donna, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you on today with me. You were part of the BBB Summit in the fall, and it was so good talking to you. And I feel like it's been forever since we chatted. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks, Julie. It's so good to be back.
Yeah. And you were just, giving me the updates from Ontario that it's snowing. And here I am with the palm trees and the breeze in the background.
Yeah, don't rub it in. Yes.
No faux background required for me.
Yes.
But hey, I'm so glad to have you back. And I would love, before we get started, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself and who you are and all that good stuff, and then we'll dive right into our amazing topic today.
Sounds good. Yes. So I'm up in Toronto, near Ontario, or in Ontario, Canada. And I am a certified director of operations and business growth strategist, which is a lot of words and really means I work directly with the business leaders, mostly for online businesses, to help them leverage three things: their time, their talent, and their tactics. The 3 T's, as I like to call it.
I like it.
So that they can grow their business to the next level without sacrificing their life, their family, their relationships, because I've tried that before and it wasn't successful. And so, while we all enjoy our work, especially as entrepreneurs, a lot of us are into our business more than we should be. And so just helping them really step back, get out of the weeds, and really be the CEO of their business.
I love that. And that's what we all want to some point. Like it's okay, right? Like I was having this conversation with, I can't remember who. I think we were talking about human design. And there are us who love working, right? And that's okay. Like if but having the choice, right? Like having the choice to, I want to work all day today. That's okay. Like, it's cool. Like, just because some people say that, oh, I work 2 hours a day and then I'm done. Like, if you want to work 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 hours, that's okay. You don't have to thrive for that working 2 hours a day thing. However, how nice is it that you can be like, today I'm not working, I'm going to the beach. Right. Yes. But it's having the choice and having the options to do that. But in order to do that, we have to build a business that allows us to do that, right?
Yes, 100%. Really, it's about building a business by design, not by accident, right?
Exactly. I love it.
When my entrepreneurial journey, when I look back, I was building a business by accident, if you want to call it that. So, I got into the online world. Of course, you need clients, so you take anything and everything that walks in the door. And while I was enjoying the work, I was literally working 24/7, right? I didn't have a problem with it. It was good for me, but it was my family who were noticing. My kids were teenagers and they're like, Mom, you're never around anymore. Mom, can we have a talk? Right? My husband's like, when are we going to have time together? What's happening to you? Right? Well, I'm fine. I'm working. Da, da, da. Right.
But we're like, sometimes at the beginning, we're like flying by the seat of our pants, and all that is being sacrificed. But also, where was I going with this? Because we love what we do so much, we're like, running on adrenaline, right? But at the people on the other side are like, well, what the hell? Like, what? Like, we want to go to do this today or do that, or like you said, right? Like, like it wasn't that long ago that when, I was a wedding photographer, and my son actually said to me, he was 3 years old. No, he was 6. He said, Mommy, can I have another mommy, one that's not on her computer all the time,
Oh,
right? And
mhm.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah, yeah,
like evaluation time. There comes a time in our business, then sure, we have to put in more time because we're, creation mode or something like that. But aside from all of it, creating habits, I think that will help us make the choices is key. And if we can learn that early on in our journey as a business, as an entrepreneur, then we're winning. Because a lot of times we start our business and, we think we have to work all of these hours to have like this, business, when it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have that to be that complicated. And we can create, systems and all that good stuff to create that business and live life by design and work our business around our life and not the other way around.
yes, 100%. We
Mm-hmm.
all only have the same 24 hours in a day, right?
Yeah.
Can't make more
Yeah.
of it, can't make less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, really, of the hours that you have, how do you want to spend them, right? I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
remember years ago listening to a commencement speech by Brian Dyson, who is the CEO of Coca Cola. And he said, imagine life is five balls. So, we've got family, health, relationships, work, and spiritual. Four of those balls, if you drop them, they shatter. The only ball that if you drop bounces back is work. How are you going to protect those four balls that when you
Mm-hmm.
drop them, they shatter and maybe to a point that you can't replace them?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a real eye opener for me to say, yeah, a lot of us are really concentrating on the work ball. Oh, we got to do this. Don't drop this. Don't do that. But that's the ball that bounces back.
Yeah.
But our life, our relationships, our spiritual connection, all of that doesn't. Right. And so just keeping that front and center as we
Mm-hmm.
plan our weeks, as we plan our months, so that the most important things are still front and center for us, right? It's about designing our calendar so that that time with our child or that time with our husband or that time for us is built in there, just like our sales calls are.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, Donna, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about the 6 habits to dominate your week and supercharge your online business. So, okay, so what is the greatest asset that a small business owner has, and what do we do about it?
Yeah, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe the greatest asset we have is time, and we have to leverage that time to the best of our abilities. And certainly, this is a journey, right? We're not going to wake up tomorrow and be perfect at it. I'm still not perfect at it, but I strive to be 1% better each week as I move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, really looking at your business and saying, okay, I am the CEO, I am the leader. And for your listeners out there, some of them may be thinking, that term kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't think I'm really CEO. I want to challenge you to say, yes, you are. And you are, even if you're a solopreneur, even if you have one contractor as a VA working 5 hours a week for you. And the reason I say that is because the CEO is responsible for the vision and the strategy. And if you, as leader, aren't providing that vision and strategy, who is? So some of your week needs to be spent doing CEO level tasks. And one of the easiest ways to implement this is to have a CEO power hour. So if we think about really big businesses like Microsoft and Apple and Nike and all of those, we have a CEO, we have board of directors, and we have VPs reporting to the CEO, right? Sales is saying what's happening in the area, marketing, director. We don't have that in our small businesses, but we still need to be looking and looking down on our business from like a bird's eye view to see what is happening. And so this CEO Power Hour is 1 hour that you set aside in your calendar. It's the same time every week. You go through the same process every week. And this time needs to be non negotiable, meaning that nothing puts it off the plate, nothing takes it off your calendar, and nothing takes you from doing it except for some life tragic event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Of
it's just
course.
as important as a sales call and as your other important calls. It doesn't matter whether it happens on a Monday, whether it happens on a Friday, on a Sunday. The time doesn't matter. Make it work with your schedule, but you want the same time every week. And then what you want to do during that power hour is really do some reviewing and some reflecting. So we're going to be looking at some of our top metrics, looking at a little bit of data. This is not a whole hour spent on data. It's a quick check-in to see where am I at, right? What's my revenue goal for this month and where am I at right now? Am I on target to reach that? And if not, what do I need to tweak or change so that by the end of the month, I can get closer to being on target, right? Perhaps you need to reach out to some people individually to boost sales, or you need to, you want to put a flash sale for some product that you have. But just keeping that top of mind will help you as you go through. And that prevents getting us from, setting goals in January, and then March or April comes along and we're like, oh yeah, those goals, I forgot. What was I doing? And we've totally lost where our direction was and where we wanted to go, right? So keeping that each week, something very important. And then from there, we really want to be looking at, as CEO, what are my top 3 priorities that I need to do this week? And those top 3 priorities have to be what I call growth level tasks. So those are tasks that are going to move the needle in your business. Those are tasks that are going to bring you direct return on investment. So things like networking, things like JV partnerships, collaborating, maybe doing sales calls if that's something you do in your business, webinars, masterclasses, teaching in someone else's audience in a masterclass or a group. So those kind of higher level tasks that you wouldn't delegate to a team member, right? So we need time each week, pick those top 3 priorities, and then those need to be put on the calendar and time blocked off to do them.
I love that. And those are like, I think that we take not advantage, but we take it for granted, right? Like we just like work on the things, but we don't do the important things that are like at the core, like at the foundation of really growing our business, and also being on top of things like, like money, for example, like, like that's really important. And every week you should spend a bit of time, tracking your money, checking to see check-ins and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But also data, right? Like data is so important. Like, like that helps you kind of like, forecast, but it also help you like, okay, well, this is working, this isn't working. So let's reevaluate, I mean, sometimes it takes a few months to kind of, figure that stuff out because you see what the trends have been, but they're so important, right? And
the data just allows you to make an informed decision so much easier, right?
Yes.
I'll give an example. I was working with a client who was advertising courses to students who were fresh out of university. And she had a social media assistant helping her doing organic posts at this point. But the business leader felt like she should be on all social media channels because young people are on all of them. And so the social media assistant was working at capacity. And so the business leader was saying to me, I was working one-on-one with her in a consulting role. And she was saying, I think I need to hire another social media assistant because the one I have can't keep up with what I want to post. Okay. But she was worried about the budget and, would she be able to sustain that? So I challenged her to say, well, which channels are we actually getting a return on investment from? No idea. So let's go and look at the data and find that first. Then we know which channels are actually working. And surprisingly, we found that Facebook was bringing people into our world. So brand awareness. Instagram was actually where people were taking action. So they were doing what she asked them to do in terms of clicking, right? Whether that was signing up for her email list, for her freebie, for a webinar, whatever it was, but they were actually taking action from her Instagram posts. TikTok, YouTube, this, that, she was hardly getting any traction. And so when she saw that data, she was like, oh, well, this is easy. Let's just double down on Facebook and Instagram, forget the rest. I don't need another social media assistant, right? So just by looking at that data, she was able to make an informed decision, save money, and still be able to grow her business.
Yeah. Now I want to stop there and just be like, so if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm just going to do Facebook and Instagram, then it's different for every single one of us. So, what worked for this client of yours and might not be what's going to work for you. But she checked the data, she looked at, she did her due diligence, and I did the same thing, right? Like I was like, okay, like where are my people, where are they coming from? And you look at your stats, right? Like your analytics, and see where the people are coming from. And I realized that, like for me, I'm not like a pro at social media marketing, and I'm not going to admit, like I'm like fully transparent, and I'm trying to figure it out. But I know that Instagram barely brings people into my world, right? Like it's just kind of like a place where they kind of, I know, like, I mean, most of the people who see my stories are people I know, my friends or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm like, in 1 year, the amount of people that transferred over to my website was less than a summit that I hosted in 1 week. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, let's have a think on this, right? And so I'm like, that's it. I'm not focusing on Instagram anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what I chose to do. Will I go back to Instagram in the future? Maybe. We'll see. But I'm not going to stress about it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to stress about it. I'm going to go all in on Facebook because that's where my people are at this time, and I'm going to run with it. So just to kind of hone in on that whole social media and where you should be and all that, like,
Yes.
I think it's important that, again, knowing your data, right? And looking at that, where the people coming from, like, studying it a little bit. I mean, like I said, sometimes it takes, like, it took me a year to kind of be like, I don't want to be on Instagram anymore. Like, why am I even doing that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm forcing it, or I'm like putting stuff out there for, not for whatever reason, flying by the seat of my pants. And I'm like, but you know what? Like when I was like, you know what? No more Instagram. Once in a while I'll do like a post a story or whatever. But, and I can still go there because there's like the quotes that I like and the few, people that I like to follow and stuff like that. But it's just a load off your
Oh,
shoulders,
so much. Yes,
right?
100%. Yep. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think, as business owners, this happens to a lot of us. We start our business, we're not sure exactly what's going to work. So we're throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying different tactics, right? Understandable. But as our business grows, we now have to be more strategic. What tactics are actually bringing that return on investment, and being willing to let go of those that aren't, right? Because as your business grows and you're hiring a team, you're now paying someone to help you do these things. You want to make sure you're getting a return from their efforts, right?
Exactly.
Yes, yes. So I think that becomes more and more important. And you can almost look at it as a foundation. So you need to have one tactic that is working for each of the different areas of your customer journey, right? Bringing people into your audience, how you're going to nurture them, how you're going to connect with them, how you're going to deliver, how you're going to sell, all that. But I want you to have one solid strategy that works for each of those areas first. Once you have that, then you can think about layering on another strategy, right? So keeping it simple and strong at the beginning makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Exactly. Okay, so how do I, as a CEO of my business, get out of the day-to-day operations and have time for working on my business? And for
Mm,
some of us, that's the nerd zone, right? Like that's what I love to do, right? Like I want to work on my business.
yes, yes. And I totally understand that. And for a lot of people who are visionary CEOs, but also have a creative side to them, Julie's definitely one of those, right? It's hard because you like to get in there and tweak and twist. You want to, make a new Canva image. You want to fiddle with your WordPress. And so I'm not saying don't do that. But again, look at your week and how are you spending your time. So, an easy way to do this is if you make a list of all the tasks that you have in your business. Don't try and edit them. Don't try and, make them perfect. Just write them all out. I don't want you to start at the top and work through each of those tasks because that's not being strategic, right? So, what we want to do is put those tasks into one of four boxes. So it's like the Eisenhower matrix. We've got 4 boxes, and the 2 criteria that we're going to measure these tasks on is important, meaning it is directly tied to revenue generation. And the second criteria is urgent, meaning it has a deadline, within a week or two. And if we don't meet that deadline, there could be a negative consequence. So as an example, paying our taxes. It's not something we all enjoy, but it needs to be done by a certain deadline, right? Or if you want to apply to, be in someone's mastermind or be a part of a summit, you need to do that by a certain deadline or you miss out. So those types of things. And then you take each of the tasks on your list and you decide which box is it going to go in. So important and urgent, not important, not urgent, important, not urgent, like that. And so what you're going to do is you're going to find that the things that go in not important and not urgent, most of those you can either automate, delegate, or stop completely, right? So by looking at the tasks that go in there, you can now say, all right, is this providing me a return on investment? Is it necessary? Yes, it's necessary. Okay, do I as CEO have to do it? No, probably not. All right, what software do I already have that I can automate part of this, right? It doesn't have to be the whole process, but part of it. Or do I already have a team member whose this is their zone of genius and I could delegate this to them? I just hadn't thought about it before, right? So to give you an example, this podcast, Julie needs to show up to do the recording. She certainly can't have a team member come on and be the host of her podcast, right? But there's a lot of pieces to get here that she could delegate and automate, right? So she has a calendar. I can quickly book in on the time that she's available for a time that works for me. That's all automated. We don't have to send emails back and forth. Oh, this day, that day, right? Afterwards, someone's going to do a little bit of editing, make some social media posts, and let me know that the podcast is ready to go live. Julie doesn't have to do that piece, right? She can automate some of it. She can move it to a team member. And so just looking at what systems and processes you have in your business and really delineating what do I as leader have to do and what pieces can I automate or delegate.
Exactly. I love that. That's awesome. Like that's such great advice too. And you could use sticky notes, right? Sticky notes and then put them on the wall and make your boxes with like tape or whatever.
Yeah.
Make
totally.
It fun.
Whatever
sticky
works
notes
for you.
Yes. And sticky notes are so fun when you're, figuring business out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And cheap.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you use the strategy when I'm trying to prioritize my to-do list? Because like some of us have a never-ending to-do list. Like,
yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, 100%. And you know what? I think the first piece is just being okay with and knowing my to-do list is never going to end. And it's okay because I'm not getting up today to finish my to-do list. I'm not getting up tomorrow to finish my to-do list or next week. No, I'm getting up today to do the priorities for my business. What's going to move my business forward closer to reaching my goals today? Right? So that's where you want to focus. And so again, if you take that to-do list, you can break it up into maintenance and growth tasks. Maintenance tasks are those things that need to get done, but again, I argue not necessarily by you. Invoicing, bookkeeping, changing copy on a website, adding, emails to your email subscriber list, posting the actual social media posts that you want to put out there, right? Lots of things can happen in this maintenance mode, customer service, but not necessarily by you. The things in the growth level basket or bucket we've talked about a little bit, and those are things that you as leader want to be focusing on, right? So your sales calls, new content, if you're creating a new offer and the content in that offer, reaching out to people, to build relationships, all those types of things are going to be your level tasks. And so I've come up with something called the CEO score, which really helps you to identify how much time in my week do I need to be spending on these growth level tasks, and then analyzing at the end of each week, did I reach my target? And some weeks you'll find you may be way above your target just because of the way the week worked out, and other weeks you may be lower, but you want to be looking at that pattern and trend over time. And so where you get this CEO score from is you take the amount of revenue that you would like to make in the year and divide it by the number of weeks that you would like to work in the year. And that will be your CEO score. And then different growth level tasks have different dollar amounts tied to them. And so it's not the money that you make from doing the task. It's not the amount of money that you would pay someone else to do. It's really just looking at, how much of your energy and your sweat and your tears you have to put in to do that, right? And so the higher the revenue you want to make, the more time you need to spend in the growth level tasks. And so if you're a solopreneur and you're like, oh, this all sounds great, but these things need to get done and I have nobody. So that's true. You're going to spend some time in maintenance, but I want you to be looking forward and saying, okay, where am I going? I'm going so that I have more time in growth level. And what can I automate? What can I get rid of? And when the time is right, what can I delegate so that I do have time in my schedule for those CEO level tasks?
Yeah. And I find like sometimes we can get in trouble with our to-do lists. And I'm guilty, right? Like sometimes there's things that we should do because they're in that category of like, this is going to bring in the income, right? The bacon. But you know what? That's more fun. So I'm going to work on this project, but at the same time, I'm going to work on this project. Oh, but I'm going to work on this project too. And I get caught in that, right? And so that's where we can get into some trouble with our to-do lists when we're trying to do too many things at the same time. Then they take longer to do, longer to finish, longer to achieve. So I'm like revamping my program right now, but I'm thinking about a bundle for the spring, and I'm like, the nerd Julie wants to be like, drop everything and work on the bundle stuff, right? Because that's like my area of fun. Like some of you are like, fun, Julie, what are you talking about? But that's fun for me. But I'm like, no, I am not allowed to work on that until I am finished with BBB. I need to finish a project before I start another one. Like, so I'm being like super strict with myself. And like, what I've done is, and I'm sure like you do this too, but have like a master to-do list, right? And then I pull from that list, okay, well, this is what needs to happen right now. So what part of this project do I need to do that's important, all the good stuff that you talked about. But yeah, so I caution the listeners into thinking that, like it's a detriment really. Like if you're trying to finish 3 different things at the same time and it's going to take way longer. Like, my God, like sometimes I want to finish something and then 2 years have passed and it's like, oh, I'm still not done that project. Like, so we have to be really mindful about that and have a look at our to-do list. And as much as we like scratching things off, I have a master to-do list and then I pull from that list. So then it becomes a more smaller, manageable list. And then you can kind of go with like, okay, well, tomorrow, what am I going to do from the list that I pulled from the list, right?
100%. Yes. And I encourage my clients to do the same thing. We just call it something different. So we set our 12-month goals, and then we break that down into 90-day goals and then down into monthly goals, right? So when we're looking at our monthly goals, what do I have to do this week to reach my monthly goal, right? And when, like you just said, when we break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces, it becomes much more manageable and we know what the next steps are, right? Take, for example, someone who wants to write a book. I mean, that's a massive project. If we don't break down the steps on how we're going to get there, it's going to become overwhelming and we won't even want to start, right? Because where do I go first? Well, I might want to dive into writing, but I can't dive into writing until I have a plan, right? And so, just taking that step back and doing that reverse engineering and say, okay, what are the steps to have this project finished? And then taking it bit by bit, because it's a journey, right? It's like when you go out for your walk or your run, you don't end up at the finish line. You have to take each step to get there. And so think about your business and your projects the same way.
Oh, that's a lot, but a couple more things. Okay, let's talk about, okay, so what is my CEO? But I think you already talked about the scorecard, right? I
Yeah.
have it on my list here. Do
Okay.
you want to add anything to the scorecard, like the CEO scorecard, or did you pretty much
No,
cover
I
it?
think the scorecard we covered. We can talk about one other habit, which I think is really, really helpful. And it fits in with what we were talking about at the beginning about building your business around your life. And so, what I call it is your scheduling ninja. And you can have this ninja working for you or against you. I want all ninjas working for me. Basically, it's your calendar. And so, what you want to do is set up what an ideal model calendar would be for you for a week. And this is not to stuff you inside a box, because I know for many entrepreneurs, that's the last thing they want. They want flexibility and movement. But what this does is really set the priorities and allow that time already blocked off on your calendar, right? So you take a blank calendar, and first thing you put down are your family obligations. I don't want to mean them as obligations, but the things that you want to do for yourself and for your family. So maybe that's a morning routine. Maybe that's breakfast with your family. Maybe that's, school pickup from your kids or a date night with your husband, whatever that looks like, your massage every 2 weeks, whatever that is, block it off and have that in your calendar right away. And then from there, you're going to decide what hours your business is going to be open, in air quotes. What do you mean open? I'm an online business. I don't need to have open hours. But this is really important because it sets the stage and sets the boundaries for when you're at your laptop and working and when you're not, right? It really helps your clients, your customers, and your team know when they can expect to hear from you. So if Tuesday afternoon you like to go to the local yoga class and then do a walk and have a coffee and sit in the coffee shop, block that time off, right? Don't leave it open for clients and team to reach you. Because at the end of Tuesday afternoon, when you didn't get to go to the yoga class and have your coffee, you're going to feel frustrated with yourself because you didn't get that break that you were looking forward to. So blocking those times off, setting our actual hours when we're working, really, really important. And then from there, we want to have time in our week for doing our most important things. Marketing's part of the game, whether we like it or not, sales part of the game, and client delivery, right? So we need to have those times blocked off so that we know exactly what we're working on and when. If Wednesday morning is your time for content creation, block it off, right? What you're actually doing during that time will change from week to week, depending on what you have going on. But you have time mapped out every week for that task.
Yeah, I love it. Like, or getting your nails done or whatever, because that's important too, taking time for yourself, right? Or
Yes.
having a bath in the middle of the day, whatever.
Yes,
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
And
Most
that's a
of
good
us.
start that so that we're not always on, right? And that is also helpful in setting boundaries for yourself, setting boundaries for your clients, right? Like you don't have to be available all the time for your
Mhm.
clients, right?
Yep.
Like I mean, my coach, she doesn't like if she's, I know that if I send her a message like she's may not reply right away, like I may
Mhm.
not hear from her till tomorrow or whatever, right?
Yep.
Like that's because she set boundaries and I'm aware of the boundaries and I'm cool with it. Like that's the way we do that, right? And
Yep.
you are allowed to have boundaries and not be at your client's disposal like 24/7. That's not
Mhm.
how it works,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know yourself, right? If you know after 3 or 4 Zoom calls, I'm done, I need a break,
Mm-hmm.
then, set your calendar up that way so that after the third or fourth call, you're busy, right?
Yep.
And you have a time when you can get up, walk away, do whatever you need to do. But so you don't get in those situations where you just feel completely drained and you can't give anymore because you've overspent your time and your energy.
And yeah, and some calendars will even let you do that. Like my calendar, I set it up that after 2 meetings, you can't book anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So even though there's time free that day, it will not give them that option. So that's another way of doing it too. Like check your calendar, see if that's an option for you to put that in there so that you know you can you can kind of say, well, I only want 2 meetings a day, so you can program it that way.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
last thing before we shut her down.
Yeah.
So how do I create a personalized game plan that empowers me to dominate my week while balancing my personal life?
Yes. So again, I believe it starts with that CEO power hour, having that set time every week to really reflect and review, see what's most important to you, and then adjusting your calendar so that you can set yourself up for success, right? If we think about our days, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I used to do this all the time. Start work, turn on the laptop. First thing I do is go to my inbox. There's 25,000 messages there. Oh, I got to start going through these. Beep, beep, the phone's beeping. Somebody wants something on Slack. Somebody wants something. I'm being reactive to everyone else's demands, right? No, I am the leader of my business. When I get up, I'm doing what's most important for my business first. The truth of the matter is, what's in my email can last an hour or two, right? There's not a fire. If there was a fire, you'd find out about it in a different way.
Yeah, this is true, right? For most of us, there is nothing that is an emergency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yeah,
it's really changing my mindset to believe, yes, I am the leader of my business and I need to act that way. I need to think that way. And I need to set my week up for success that way.
and I think also in line with, the universe and all that kind of stuff, like if we start acting that way,
Mm.
that business of that CEO is just naturally going to come to us
Mm-hmm.
in return, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about the CEO Power Hour playbook. So that's your freebie. So, like everything you talked about kind of like, goes back to this, our CEO Power Hour. And you have a playbook for us that we can download and put in and start implementing that right away. So tell us a little bit about the CEO Power Hour. And I encourage, if you're listening to this, you have to go download this.
Yeah. So it's a free download. So it's a PDF which you can tuck away in your Google Drive or wherever you like to store things. And when you set up your CEO Power Hour, pull out that PDF because it'll walk you through the steps of how to have this power hour and what to actually do during it. So you'll pull this out, walk through the steps, and once you've done that, 3 or 4 times, you're going to get used to the pattern, and you're
Mhm.
going to know what you need to do. But this will really help you to be okay. Where do I put this on my calendar, and what do I actually do during this hour, rather than just staring at the wall?
Exactly. I love it. I love it. So we should all download this so we can get, not fly by the seat of our pants anymore and
Yes.
run a real business that's going to be organized.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Donna, for being on the show. So, where can we find you? And if anybody's interested in working with you, how do you help your clients?
Yeah, thank you, Julie. So you can find me on my website, which is CEO Amplify. I also have a podcast, which is called CEO Amplify. And so you can go check out some of those episodes if you're into listening to podcasts, which you obviously are. And so I work with clients one on one. So in a consulting role where I work directly with the business leader in helping them institute some of these habits, keeping them accountable, giving strategies, and really some mentorship along the way. So we talk a lot about, how I use my time, my talent, my tactics. Do I need to hire a team? Who should that be? How do I delegate? How do I manage? What data should I be looking at? All those good things. Sort of
I
the
love it.
operations, the backside of the business.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. And, I'm going to have those links in the show notes as well. So if you're looking for that freebie that we talked about, or if you want to follow Donna, which I encourage you do, and then, yeah, I'm going to put all of that stuff in the show notes. So thanks again, Donna. It was so cool talking to you, and I hope you're not too cold over there in Ontario.
Thank you, Julie. It was good.
Amazing. So if you are listening to this episode, I will talk to you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.